So, I think we are live now. So, warm welcome everybody here in Felix Meritus. Welcome at this webinar on entrepreneurship. We are going to talk about online and offline presence. It's hosted by the Netherlands Violin Competition in collaboration with the Cello Biennale Amsterdam, the Young Pianist Foundation, and het Grachtenfestival here in Amsterdam. So we have a very select audience here, considering all the corona health measures. But there's a lot of people listening online, so you're very welcome. If you're listening online, check out the donation button because we really need your support to help us to organize these kind of events now and in the future. So press the button. We're very grateful, thank you. We're going to have a nice evening of talk, discussion, so everybody join. On the YouTube and Facebook channels, you can join in the chat, and we will incorporate your questions here. We're going to have Willemijn Mooi, who is Managing Director of the Netherlands Bach Society, speaking a little bit later here. And Iris van der Valk, who's the Social Media Manager at the Royal Concertgebouw. She's going to have a little presentation too. And after that, we're going to join the three of us, Willemijn, Iris and I. We're going to talk some more, and you're all free to join here in the hall, ask your questions, also online, in the chat. We have Daphne sitting here, following all the chats, and she will read out the questions that you ask online. So you're very welcome. But I think maybe it's good to start with some music. After all, this is a webinar on musical or entrepreneurship for musicians, for young professional artists. And there is lately the Festival for Compassion. You can look it up, festivalsforcompassion.com. This was an initiative that was inspired by an artwork, The Flag of Compassion by Rini Hurkmans. And the Festival for Compassion people, they asked Calliope Tsoupaki. And Calliope Tsoupaki, she is the official Netherlands composer of the Netherlands. And they asked her to write a new composition, and it's called Thin Air. And the world premiere was last Saturday on Radio 4. And like a sort of relay race, all these different festivals this summer, all the way up to November, I think, will perform this piece in different settings. It's a solo piece, and tonight we're really happy that we have the first violin performance of this piece by Calliope Tsoupaki. And I'm really happy to introduce the winner of the Oskar Back Prize 2020, Coraline Groen. So really welcome here. How did you experience the last 3 weeks in lockdown? I think there's a microphone you can just... No, you don't have to move around. You can just speak, I guess.
Well, it was 3 months, unfortunately.
3 months, I said 3 weeks. No, of course it's 3 months, yeah.
No, for me it was actually quite okay. I had the luck that I got a job in February. So I had nothing to struggle about financially. And I had the time actually to reflect on what I did in the last years. But I saw a lot of friends of mine around me that didn't have this privilege. And yeah, for them it's still really hard, and I think it will be really hard in the coming months and even years maybe to work in the arts. And I think this piece is about solidarity, and the flag is about solidarity. And yeah, I really hope I can live with them, and I feel very privileged that I have this job, but I hope that we can all live with music and have our goals.
Great, thank you. So you're going to perform Thin Air by Calliope Tsoupaki. Give her a warm welcome, Coraline Groen. Thank you, Coraline. That's a great new piece. So that was actually, I think, the third or fourth performance of this piece called Thin Air by Calliope Tsoupaki. And you see the flag of compassion disappearing in the background. That was the artwork together with the manifesto by Rini Herkmans that this composition was initiated on. If you want to know more about this, check out festivalsforcompassion.com. And this live stream will be there, as well as many other live streams of this piece being performed on a guitar, even a carillon. How do you say this in English? Carillon, a church. Right, so next is Willemijn Mooi, who I'd like to ask to come to the stage here. So you've been working as a chief of the musical department at Performing Arts Fund, FPK, Fonds Podiumkunsten here in Holland. That was some time ago. Radio 4. You've been working at Radio 4. So you have a wide experience of professional experience. And most recently, of course, you've been managing director of the Netherlands Bach Society. Here we go, the Netherlands Bach Society. And it's good to know that Shunske Satu, who is the artistic leader of the Netherlands Bach Society, he will give a masterclass in this series of webinars and masterclasses, and that will be on the 7th of July. So Shunske Satu is your artistic leader. Yeah. We're going to talk about online and offline presence, and the Netherlands Bach Society had this weekend some offline experience again. So you're performing really at Tivoli Vredenburg again.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Well,
maybe I can use this microphone. We were in the Walk the Line sort of try-out series of Tivoli Vredenburg.
In the Walk the Line, okay.
Yeah, it was very nice. So it was very nice to play.
I'm looking forward to your little talk here. So give her a warm applause. This is Willemijn Mooi.
I'm going to use this. Let me see, just a sec. Yes. Okay. I have to use the mic, huh? Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the art of flexibility, which is something we really need in a crisis. It's also very important to keep on reaching out to your audience, and that's why I'm going to talk about this subject today. Just a little bit about the Nederlandse Bachvereniging, that's what it is in Dutch. In English it's Netherlands Bach Society. We were founded in 1921, so we are heading for our centenary. And we are most famous, I think, because of this. St. Matthew Passion in Naarden. This is the Grote Kerk in Naarden. This is where it all started. And this is also what makes us famous. This is the Dutch Parliament in 2018. You recognize Prime Minister Rutte and the Minister of Culture, Ingrid van Engelshoven. So this is a sort of must-attend society event. Is there something with
some technical things? I think if you leave it here,
is it okay?
Everybody will be able to hear, because this is just for the live stream, so everybody here will be able to.
Okay, good.
Great.
Yes. Okay, no problem. But we're not old-fashioned, so we also perform an abridged version of St. Matthew Passion in the Pieces of Tomorrow series in Tivoli Vredenburg. That's a 1-hour concert. Maybe you know the formula. And there's a DJ, and people can ask questions, and it's to make music a little bit more accessible. And especially a work like St. Matthew Passion, which takes 3 hours, some people think 1 hour is enough, and maybe they're right. This is Shunske. He's the one that Artjan was talking about. He is our artistic leader. He's a violinist. He's very versatile talent. He's also a very good teacher. And he is the leader of the band. And another thing I would like to tell you about is our online project, All of Bach. This started somewhere in 2014 for the first release. The idea of the project is that we record all the works of Bach by video and post them online on our own website and on YouTube. It's a very expensive project. It's all privately funded, so we don't use our subsidy of the Performing Arts Fund for that, but we have private donors to help us with this. And to give you an idea of the project, there is a little thing of 30 seconds, I think, to start with. Why do I show this to you? Because it's very important. In times of crisis, as you all can understand, being online is, well, I think if you're not online, you really have a problem. And we already had a huge online presence before the crisis was there. And this is the crisis. This is in Dutch, but I think everybody can read what is written down here. It's the cancellation of our St. Matthew Passion Tour. This, of course, was for us the start of the crisis. Crisis, you can talk about crisis for hours. I think for us, as the Bach Society, we can see that we had 4 stages in this crisis. One was acceptance. We had to shed a tear and we had to drink a beer to come over it and to accept it. And to really let it in, that it would be not something for 2 weeks, but probably for 2 months or even 2 years. And the last thing is something I still cannot accept. So I'm still trying to accept something that, I don't know. Same for you, I think. After the stage of acceptance, you have to go to a stage of action. And I'm going to talk about some important fact. An important part of action is communication. And of course, we had to think about alternatives and also the moment you choose to bring your alternatives. And maybe we are going to a new order. As I said, communication is key in a crisis. I think if there is one thing I have learned in the past few months, communication is the most important thing. So I'm going to tell you something about that. First, you have to set goals. In our case, I think it was very important to have 3 stages: bare facts, a case for support, and visibility. Bare facts are important, of course, at the beginning of the crisis. We, as the Bach Society, had to communicate that our whole program was cancelled. We knew at the beginning of the crisis, I think already, that we might cancel everything. So that was something we had to think about, also in advance. You have a lot of target groups when you start your communication. So the first thing you have to do is to determine your target groups. And also the means of communication you use for each group. For me, for example, it was very important to call the major donors myself. Just make a phone call, not an email, but you have to let them know that they are important to you. So they're first, and they're personal. And of course, there's a lot of inside communication, our musicians, our staff, that's also very important. You have to talk to the venues, and of course your audience. And one thing is, I think, very important, press is not first. Press can be last. People don't like to read something in the press when they expect you to tell it yourself. So press is not the most important thing, but is important for other goals. And I think also you have always think about the order of communication. So think about your staff, your musicians, your major donors, your audience. It's important to make a sort of decision tree and, to go to the right group in the right order. And of course, you need some coordination with the venue where you were playing or something. This is an important one also. Add some drama. If you want attention of the press, you need something extra because everybody was cancelling their events, all at the same time. We were the first to do something big in terms of cancellation of music because it was just before Easter. And it was the first time ever since 1945 that we would not perform our St. Matthew Passion in Naarden. And this was adding drama because that is something, wow, it's like war. So the press likes it. It sounds a little bit opportunistic, it is probably, but it helps to get attention. For us, it was very important to make a case for support because, as Coraline already said, most musicians are freelancers also at the Bach Society. So if you don't play, you don't get paid. And that was the first real sorrow we had. How are we going to pay our musicians when they are not performing? So in the press, I had one message, and my message was, I care about the musicians. How are we going to pay for the musicians? And I know that the Bach Society has a big fan base, a real big fan base. So all the people who had tickets for our St. Matthew Passion performances in Naarden, they were approached by us and we asked them to leave the money with us, to give it to the musicians. And they did. 60% of the audience donated the tickets to the musicians, the value of the tickets, of course. That was a good one, and it gave us a lot of positive PR, like here on Twitter, and many small things in the newspapers. It was a good start of the crisis because we made this case of support, and we could tell that this was one of the most important things. It's a sort of underlying thing that comes up. And this is something, especially for you as young musicians, it's a little bit of a sidestep, but you should know that old people love you. They really do. I mean, if I talk to major donors and also to private people who want to donate money to the Bach Society, they always ask me, what do you do for the next generation? What do you do with education, with talent development, and things like that? And they really like to support young talent. So that's a sort of market value, never forget. Then, of course, you have to stay visible, but you are not visible because you're not playing, and you're not on TV, and you're nowhere. So you have to organize that yourself, and that is the thing that Iris is going to talk about later, but it's a very important thing. Alternatives are important. So you win some time because you're not playing. You have to think about alternative plans in times of crisis. I think you have to try to be original, don't do what everybody does, try to do something new, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and that is something that you will stress as well, I think. Be quick and do something funny. Choose your moments carefully, that's important. So we thought about the online strategy during Easter. 2 weeks before Easter, we asked Sjunske to do something. And he made a sort of recording with himself. He doubled himself 6 times and played Erbarme dich, a very famous aria from the St. Matthew Passion. He posted this and it was viewed 40,000 times. And many people were touched by this. They were thankful, they were grateful. They said, okay, you think about us and we think about you. Music is important to us, thank you very much. So it was a sort of warm community feeling that he created with that video. We also wanted to have a moment, because this St. Matthew Passion tradition is something we do on Good Friday every year. And we wanted that moment a little bit online, so that's why we did on Facebook an announcement. Tomorrow, 11:30, St. Matthew Passion on Facebook. This is the second movie to start. No, you have to start yes, thank you. This was a small announcement, but it was really important. People need anchors during a crisis, and an anchor, of course, is music, especially, music like Easter music, like St. Matthew Passion. The stream on Facebook was watched 55,000 times. At the same time, we had this video on YouTube, and it was watched 220,000 times. It's almost 250,000. People really need it. That's something we found proven in this crisis. And then the crisis goes on, and Easter is over, and it's spring, and everybody is sad and hopeless. And I think you can also pay attention to that part. I mean, you can be positive, it's important to be positive, but you also have to acknowledge that crisis is something that hurts. And that's why we made this video with one of our singers. This is Lauren, and she is a soprano, and she talks about not being able to sing. And it's not only about St. Matthew Passion or something. It's also interesting that she told us, and I heard that from many musicians, she didn't like to rehearse, to sing at all. She couldn't. There was no goal, and it was really hard to find herself back in making music. Also, we try to do a little thing offline, also on Good Friday. We went to Naarden, where the Grote Kerk is situated. We opened the doors of the church, and they performed a recorded version of the Erbarme dich aria. And you see all those people, they were in a circle around the church on Good Friday at 11:30, listening to the same music. This was also a moment which was important. It was also an anchor. It was small, but it was important, I think. And we had a little video about that on YouTube as well. Talking about moments, we heard that we could play again on the 1st of June for 30 people. Okay, normally we have 1,600 people in the church, and now we can play for 30. Fine, we will do it. So, this is what we did. It looks awful, I think, but okay, it worked. We had 6 musicians, and we had the seats, you can see it, 2, 2, 2. The funny thing was, and the good thing was, that it created communication between the musicians and the people attending the concert. It was very special. Some people were crying just because they realized that they had missed live music so much. It was also a good moment to make contact between the musicians and the audience, because they really talked to each other, and they could say to each other how much they missed something that was so important to them. We performed this 5 times in one day. Very good of the musicians, hard work, but it was worth it. And it was a good start, and it gave us a lot of positive attention. This is a photo that was made of Shunsuke in Japan. It's something else, but I chose it because it's very important to be approachable for your audience. Shunsuke is a sort of rock star in Japan, so they want them to sign their CDs. They still buy CDs in Japan. But this is something that he understands. You have to be there for your audience. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. What we learned, music is extremely important to people. It's not new, but it was proven during the crisis. And they are really willing to support us, to support you, to support anyone who is busy in music. They feel the urge, and they feel how important it is. Also, we found out that our audience is not as traditional as we thought. They're really open for experiments. Also, last Sunday in Tivoli Vredenburg, we played only 15 minutes, and then they went to a poetry artist and then to a jazz pianist. They liked the mix. They're very open to everything. We did a little questionnaire about the little concert we had in the Grote Kerk in Naarden. 8 questions or something. And you learn a lot from questionnaires. People like to give their opinion, so use it if you can. And I think this crisis gives some positive change to us. So it's the perfect moment for a change, and I think we need a change, because many people acknowledge that classical music is in a sort of, I don't know, still water. It needs change, it needs a positive vibe. And I think that is something that we can really get out from this crisis, a change, and that's important. So we will go on with a lot of experiments and new formats, and I think it will work. And we have to go on with that also when we go back to normal, if we go back to normal. So the last thing I would like to say to you as young professionals, hold on to that dream, because people need you. Music is really very important. So that is a short, brief thing that I wanted to tell you about crisis and communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Willemijn.
Yeah.
Great. So you will join us for a little discussion here later. There's already questions coming in on the chats on the Facebook and YouTube. So if you're watching online, keep them coming, the questions. Yes, Iris van der Valk.
Hi.
We've just crossed paths at Royal Concertgebouw when I was still working there.
Yeah.
You started there, I think maybe half a year or a year. We were there together before I left. You're still there?
I'm still there, yeah.
And so how is the Concertgebouw coping with crisis?
Well, actually, we're really flexible, I think. We had to cancel like hundreds of concerts. But in like 2 weeks, we already started like organizing online concerts in an empty hall. It's called the Concertgebouw Sessions. And we streamed them online, but it was really expensive, so we had to find a sponsor. So we were actually really looking for new opportunities. So I think we did great online, but offline it was really hard. Yeah, it's still hard.
Yeah, that's the question, the offline-online balance. So give her a warm applause, Iris van der Valk.
I'm getting my computer here so I can see what the idea was. As a social media manager, what I do is telling stories. And storytelling is actually online branding. And that doesn't mean that I make up stories that are not true. It means that I find an angle to tell the right story. The story that we want to tell and the story that we think people will connect to. So that's really in short what online branding is. But I will talk about it like the coming 20 minutes. So if you look at the Concertgebouw, you will have a lot of ideas about it. Maybe because you've been to a concert, or maybe because you've seen things online, or maybe because you heard stories from other people. And all these things you hear and see, they create a story of the Concertgebouw and they create your experience. So what my goal is to form your experience to a positive one online, so you feel connected to the Concertgebouw and you feel like you want to go to a concert. And most people don't go to a concert 365 days a year. Most people go maybe 2 times a year or 3 times a year to the Concertgebouw. So that means that in the meantime, we have to stay relevant and not only promote, like, we're having this concert, we're having that concert, especially in Corona times when we don't have any concerts. So, so what is online branding? Actually, it's connecting people to your brand, and it's making sure you stay on top of mind by these people. It's building a long-term relationship with your audience and creating a positive association with your brand. So this post you see here was something we made a few weeks after the lockdown. It was a video, an emotional video, that we said that we missed our audience and that we really would love to see them again, and that we hope that they will be there when we can open our doors again. And what happened is that people really responded like, oh, we miss you too, and oh, just like we were a friend. And that's what we want, that's what we're building online. So here's a little graphic. This is showing our online reach. So what we actually want is to grow our reach online, not only during the Corona crisis, but actually all the time. And this is something that takes time. It's not that you do a social media post and you magically have millions of followers. You have to stay connected with your audience and creating content that is relevant, and that's not only informing, but it's also entertaining. So what we see here is that from April, actually, we have a really big peak. So the blue thing is the amount of followers we gain and the amount of reach. So you see that in April, when we did the online Mahler Festival, we streamed all the symphonies of Mahler and also some documentaries and interviews, and we had to like change the whole thing in a few months. You see an amazing online reach, and that's because it's really appealing to our audience because it's stories that we tell. It's not only information, it's something that they are interested in and that they like. So I think that's really important when you are online and you try to reach your audience. And eventually, in the long term, these people will get tickets when they feel like going to a concert. But what concert they're going to, they can see that on the website. You don't have to put it all the time on your timeline. It's not that interesting. Well, it's actually interesting, but what we create is like the feeling that you remember that you love music and that you want to go to a concert. So here's a really brief idea of the algorithm. I'm not the creator of Facebook and I don't know everything about the algorithm, but what I do know is this really simple circle. So, the idea is that people see your content. You're starting at the top. And when they see it and they like it, they're more likely, and they are entertained by it, they're more likely to comment or share or somehow respond to it. And what the effect is that when Facebook sees that a lot of people like it, it will show it to more people. So it's like a snowball, and then you're reaching more people and more people and more people. So once you make something for social media, you always have to keep in mind, are people gonna react to it or respond to it? Or is it making them something that they wanna do something with it? It has to be something activating. There has to be something that sparks them. So, okay, so making Concertgebouw content, how do I do that? You have to focus on 3 things. The first thing is, why do people like the Concertgebouw in the first place? I think it's because they love music. I think that's the most important thing why they go to the Concertgebouw in the first place. And not only classical music, we also have pop, jazz, world music, every kind of music. So that's the first thing that makes them go, that makes our audience get active on content. The second thing is what distinguishes the Concertgebouw from all the other halls that also have music. Well, I think what we have is a really cool old building with a lot of like cool stories and corners that no one has seen before, and art in the halls, and maybe great acoustics. So these are the things that we will focus on when we post something about music. And the third thing is, what is it for them? What's in it for them? What's in it for the audience? When they see this video, what is it bringing them? If you want to inform them that there's a concert, it's really interesting. But if you show them maybe what's behind the doors that they've never been to, it's more interesting. There's something in there, in it for them. So I think that's always important to keep in mind. So one thing I did, we're going back. One thing I did is we created the Concertgebouw Sessions. I mentioned it earlier, the empty Concertgebouw Sessions, but what it actually started with was the Concertgebouw Sessions. This was actually the first thing that came to mind that actually got all the points that we discussed before. Music is the story. So we wanted to create a story online that's focusing on music, but it has to be also showing the building. So it's not only music somewhere, it could be everywhere, but it's in our building, so that's why it's cool. And the third thing is that it has to be short, because it's social media, so people don't gonna watch a whole concert of 30 minutes. They wanna have something like a little snack when they're on their timeline. And the last thing is that it's important that it's easy to produce, because video production is really expensive. You said that already. So when it's easy to produce, it's more cheaper, and it's for us, we can produce more. So you can create one amazing video that's really expensive, but you can't really use that video a lot. It's more important to have a lot of videos and to stay online all the time. So what we did, we just started with filming these Concertgebouw Sessions. You can think this all through, but the thing is, you should have to do it and then learn what it brings you and learn what the results are. So what we did, I just got a camera, my Canon camera, my digital camera, and I just asked a colleague who plays the violin, could you play some violin on the balcony of the Concertgebouw? And I will film it, just to see if it works. Well, she was happy to do it, so we went outside, I filmed it, it looked like crap, so I was like, okay, we need a camera guy for this. So what we did, we just created a team with 2 people, 1 camera guy and 1 audio guy, and that's it. It was a really small team, so we can really start like trying out what works. And what we did, we also find out that it's really easy to reuse the video, because there are a lot of musicians that are coming every year. And there's also a lot of musicians that are coming like maybe in a few months, but they're now in the Netherlands. So that's a moment that we can make a video with them and use that as a promotion during these 3 months, but also the next year when he's coming back. So we really think that when you post a video, it may be interesting for a week, but then the attention will drop. And people will forget that this video was there, not on YouTube. YouTube is a different story, but Facebook and Instagram, it's going really fast. So you can really reuse a video. That's not a problem. So that's really what we did. And the third thing we learned is that we should make it suitable for every platform. So on YouTube, people have a different attention span, and people look it up on a library, and it's more like it stays online for years, and it's still relevant. But on Facebook, it's really fast, and you mostly watch it on your phone, so it requires a different approach. So you want a format that's square, and not like it's big, because you want it, it has to fit in a little screen. So these are things you have to think about too as well. And not only when you edit the video, but when you start filming in the start. What we also learned is that it should not be too long. We also did like longer videos, like 6 minutes or 5 minutes. But mostly, people don't have the time to watch a whole video. They just want a little snack. They just want something fun. So 3 minutes was actually the best time, because Facebook also they really like it that you spend 3 minutes. So 3 minutes is like the golden thing now. But we noticed that when going live, there's something really different going on. Then you have like 30 minutes and it's fine, because it's live, and Facebook really likes live streams, so they push that in the front. But for the Concertgebouw sessions, short is good. And the fourth thing we learned, is this, what the fourth thing we learned is that musicians with an online audience work really well. And this was quite obvious, of course, but we didn't really think it through that much. So what we did is we had a really nice Concertgebouw sessions with Karsu. Does anyone of you know her? You know her? She's a really cool Turkish artist, Turkish-Dutch. And she's like a pop artist, but she also has a little bit of classical influence. She's a mixture of everything. And I really liked her. She played in a recital hall, and she has a really cool energy, and we thought she would be good for the sessions. So we asked her, and we posted this video, and we didn't expect anything, like just as any other video. And especially because our audience is not really like Turkish focused or something, we didn't really know what was going to happen. Well, what happened is that it had 1 million views. And that's because she had 300,000 followers on Instagram who were really big fans of her, and they went to look her up on YouTube, and they watched this video. So we have like a lot of comments from people who didn't even know the Concertgebouw, and now they do. So that my goal is reached. Let's watch a little piece of this video so you'll get an idea. Kan ik nou doorklikken? Hij gaat dan door de video heen spoelen volgens mij. Dus dan moet je even op pauze klikken. Nee, hij gaat nog steeds door de video heen spoelen. Kun jij misschien op volgende klikken? You knew her already, right? Did anyone of you know her already? Would you like it? Would you like this video or comment? Why?
Because it's interesting. I love the music.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's really the thing. You might be surprised when you see this on your timeline, right? Like, it's just nice music, so why not? Why not watch it? Yeah. Okay, so the last thing we learned of the Concertgebouw Sessions is a surprising element. There are a lot of videos that we did that had a surprising element. We placed the Alma Quartet on the ceiling of the Concertgebouw, not the ceiling, how is it, the attic of the Concertgebouw. So they were in like a suit, playing the violin on the attic, so that was crazy. And this one was also a very creative, surprising element, because this is a cellist who also sings. And she's singing a really well-known song, Roxanne, from The Police. And this one went viral as well, because even though she was not really, like she played, well, she's amazing, of course, but she played in the smallest hall of the Concertgebouw. And we've had way bigger names in the Concertgebouw Sessions, but their videos didn't do it as well as hers. She had like, I don't know, millions of views, and people were like, when is she coming to the Concertgebouw? But the thing is, she already went to the Concertgebouw, so we didn't have a concert to promote. So what we actually did is that the programmer, he saw this video and he saw all the great reactions on it. And what he did, he booked her twice in the recital hall, so in the bigger hall she had before, only because of this video. So being online is really important, and having your own audience and showing that you're there is really important. Okay, so what did we learn more? Besides the Concertgebouw Sessions, we did lots of other stories, like behind-the-scenes stories, photos made by our audience, interviews with musicians, after movies, music theory, all these stories about the Concertgebouw to create a brand, to create something you want to go to. And not only selling tickets. Of course you will sell tickets in the long run, but on social media the connection is key. So what can you do as a musician? Make sure people see you. Make sure people see you exist. And just start today. You don't need anything. You have a phone with a camera and just go. And you will learn doing it. And once you notice that people see your videos and that they like it, you can always buy a bigger camera or a better microphone. But the first thing is that they see you and that you're a person. So connect with your audience and think about what distinguishes you. What makes you special? And not only your music, but I don't know, do you have like favorite food or something? Or do you have something special you do when you rehearse? Or do you maybe vlog with your friends when you, I don't know, create a new song? I don't know, but give me a peek into your life as a musician. That's interesting, that's cool. And people will see you as a person and they would like you. And when you're having a concert, they're more likely to go to it because they remember you. So some ideas, I don't know, go vlogging. Things that inspire you, share them. Maybe struggles, it makes you a human. It makes people to connect with you, it's important. So here are some examples. I don't know if you know Bob Reynolds. He's a saxophone player, and he plays with John Mayer, actually. And my boyfriend watches his vlogs all the time. And we actually went to a concert because he saw his vlogs. He plays the saxophone himself, and he was really inspired by the way he plays with his friends and the way he rehearses. So that's interesting as well. And that's why my boyfriend went buy tickets for this guy, only because of YouTube. Another one, maybe you know Ella van Pauke, the cellist. She also makes vlogs about going to Cuba. I've watched them, I like them, she's great. Alexander Theroux, in French. He has an amazing Instagram account with 10,000 followers. And he doesn't share only music videos, he shares photos of his piano where he makes art with. It's so creative. It really makes me smile every time I see it. So that's something you can do as well. Not only share your music, but something you think is inspiring. The ziens, of course, you know them. They always vlog when they're going to a concert, how they're in the plane and that they're really excited. That's nice as well. Maybe you've seen this one. Dominic Zeldis. At the start of the corona crisis, we wanted to do something and our building was closed. So what we did, we made a video with Dominic at his home, just with a phone and me as the editor. Nothing special. 9,000 people watched it and loved it. It was easy as that. Just go and try it. So, in a nutshell, building an online brand is being online visible. So just start. And take a critical look. How is my content doing? What gains the most likes? We also tried sharing photos of musicians on Instagram. They didn't work. People like beautiful photos of the building, sadly, because I would love to share more stories of the musicians. But see what works and do that, and then have patience. Because, oh, that's actually the last point, but I'm going to that now. Be patient. Because when I started the Concertgebouw Instagram as a social media manager 3 years ago, we had 16,000 followers. And now we have 55,000. So they grew with 10,000 a year, but it took time. We're not like in one day at 50,000. It takes time. And focus on what makes you different, try to make a connection, and always think what's in it for them. So we're going to the last little recap. Online presence is an important tool to stay connected with your audience and make sure you stay on top of mind. It is about telling stories that people will connect to, so you will reach more people and they will have a positive association with you or your brand. Thank you, that's it. I'm looking forward to follow all of you on Instagram.
Great, yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's, will you join us here on the stage? We're trying to make it cozy, but with 1.5 meters, it's very difficult to make things cozy, but they're comfortable chairs, so join us. Okay, so I think one of the dirty words has already been mentioned, which is branding. I don't know about you, but branding, sometimes people have some issues with that. There's another dirty word that comes to mind, which is networking. So maybe start with, let's start with the offline possibilities of networking. You, Willemijn, you showed this picture of Shunsuke Sato signing CDs. So how does connecting with your audience, just in the old-fashioned offline way, how does that work, networking with your audience?
I think it's very, very important. Of course, there are differences also in countries because, like Japan, Shunsuke is really a rock star in Japan. So everything is around him. And he is Japanese American. And I think in Japan they really think he's, it's something special that he has a European ensemble. So it's, if you talk about branding, it's a totally different thing. I mean, here in the Netherlands, we have other anchor points. In general, I think for musicians, it's very important to be approachable. So what Iris said about also the human part of being a musician is very important. So people like to talk to musicians much more than they like to talk to me, because I want money, of course, so from the audience. But I think it's very important for musicians to be approachable and also to show their human kind thing. So they should be likable, and when they like you, they will support you. And the other thing is, it takes time. That's the same what you said. You have to approach people maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but then you have a network, and then something like a snowball exists. But it's very important to do it on a personal level. After a concert, go to your audience and say, okay, did you like it? Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you invite them to the green room? Or,
yeah, we do. We do. Yeah, and also when we make those Olaf Bach recordings, people really like to be behind the scenes. That also, you will recognize that, I think. It's very special to come in places where you cannot come as the normal audience. So they like the exclusiveness of things. So if you give them something exclusive, they love it.
And how do you move this onward to the offline? So how does offline networking work?
Online.
Online.
You mean?
Online. Sorry, yeah, I'm mixing these two.
Am I working?
It does, yeah.
Hello.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you move that to online? Well, one thing you can do is when you met someone, just follow them on every social media you have, so they remember that you exist. And then if you share things about yourself, little videos or photos or like all the things I said before, if you do that, these people who have met you once, they will remember you because they will see you on your timeline every time, every now and then. So I think that's an interesting thing you can do. Follow all the people you've met. And also really try to comment on other people that you like or that are similar, like in the same target group as you. You could, what I did with the Concertgebouw is I also follow all the other concert halls, and I always send them hearts when they do something great. And then people who follow that concert hall, they see, oh, the Concertgebouw gives hearts. Oh, the Concertgebouw, oh, they also have an Instagram page. Oh, that's nice. And then they start following us as well. So I think that's what you could do. Yeah.
So it's pretty much the same as online and
Actually
offline.
the same,
It's
yeah,
just
but then it's
communicating,
digital,
it's
yeah.
interaction. You're talking to people, and you're getting to know them, and they get to know you a little bit more. Yes.
But I think maybe the difference is offline exclusiveness is something that you can really create, and that's I think it's more difficult to do that online. So the exclusiveness.
Yeah, you can give the feeling that it's
Yeah,
exclusive.
that's something you should try.
Because when you see Lucas and Arthur getting in an airplane and they're having fun, then it feels like they're just like friends of yours, and you know, oh, they had this, they had a cola this morning, or a coffee or something. When you know these things, it's also like quite exclusive. Well, you shared with a lot of 1,000 people, but it feels something interesting that you know about them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can you distinguish between different kinds of audiences? Because you of course have the fans that buy tickets to go to your concerts, or the concerts that you organize or sell. But also you have a professional audience, or people that you want to encourage to book your concerts, like concert halls. So is a concert hall or a promoter, is that also part of your audience? Is there a difference there, or is it just the same thing?
You mean if I was a musician, if I would make content for a concert hall, so they would book me?
Yeah, so you communicate with your audience, but how
Yeah.
does the audience or the musicians communicate with you?
Yeah.
How do people get on?
Well, I'm not a programmer in that way. I don't book concerts. But when there's a marketeer or a booker who thinks that there's a certain artist that should be interesting for the Concertgebouw Sessions, they always discuss it with me. And I always look at, is this person approachable? Is this person appealing in some way? Is there something special that would get attention? And I always, well, it's nice if you have a lot of followers. It definitely helps. Like Ayana Witter-Johnson, she had her followers and she had like millions of views. Or like Karsu that I mentioned earlier. That really helps, yeah.
So you should start building an online community.
Yeah, you should start
Before
your own
you-
little online community.
Before you go to the programmers.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah, it
really,
helps.
yeah. They're also like sometimes, we had this guy I didn't know, Luca Okros. He's I don't know where he's from, but he emailed us. He actually rented the Concertgebouw to give his own concert. And he really wanted to be in the Concertgebouw Sessions. And I just really loved him and his Instagram page. So that's why we did it with him. And normally we don't do sessions for people who rent the hall. But in this case, we would also reach his audience, so his audience will get to know the Concertgebouw as well. So there's something in it for us as well. So if you have your own audience and it's really big, then it's for us interesting to work with you, yeah.
And so there's programmers and promoters, there's the fans, and then you were talking about major donors. We live in a crowd-funded society, you know. There's a lot of crowdfunding going on. Every young musician that wants to bring out a CD, they go for crowdfunding. So do you have any words of advice for young people on how to attract major donors? How does that work?
Tell us your secrets.
Well, we work on 20% subsidy level, so we earn 80% of our income ourselves, which is a very good ratio, I think. But that takes years and years. So what you should try is that people really like you. That is something we call in Dutch the gun factor. So they must like you and then think, okay, I'm going to support you. I think a violinist like Coraline maybe probably could have met a fan and could have told her, okay, I love you, I love your playing, can I help you with an instrument, for example? It helps. It happens sometimes, doesn't it? So I think what I said, people really like young musicians. It's very important to bear that in mind. So we also try to facilitate that. Also in the Bach Society, we have a young talent program, which is called Young Bach Fellows. It's 12 people that we really take under our wings. They are with us for 2 years, and it helps to get major donors because they care so much about next generation players. So one of the angles we need to build relations with major donors is to have this new generation just in front of them.
So you actually need the younger artists to be connected with the Netherlands Bach Society to also be able to...
It's the whole picture, because there are also people who like the tradition, of course, 100 years and things like that. They really like it, and it has to be 200 years, and it's also important. You have to think about goals that people really like, and it's education and talent development and tradition and also renewal. There are also people who say, okay, I like innovation, what do you do? So it's not just support for the Bach Society as the whole organization. We have segmented parts for support. That's important. It has to be specific.
Yeah.
If you want to make it specific, there's something I would like to add to that. We started trying out with Tiki. You know that? Yeah. It's this app that you can say, hey, do you like my performance? Give me some money. You click here, and then people can choose what they want and pay you. Yeah. We started with that like 2 weeks ago, and people really do it. It's really great. With the live streams we're doing, we have this Tiki link, like, do you like this? Do you want to support the musicians? You can click on the link, and you can give them money, and we will give it straight to the musicians.
We have something similar on the website. So if you're following this live stream...
Yeah.
There's a donation button on our website.
Donate.
And we really appreciate your help there.
No, but it's really, when you're a musician and you have like a phone, you can go live and put your own donate button out there.
Yeah. So how many musicians here do have a donation button on their website?
None. You're too modest.
Yeah. So it's also, I guess it's also. It might differ in different cultures or different places where you're from, but you need to ask.
You really need to ask. I think young people are too modest. I think modesty is a fantastic quality for a person, but not when you are a musician and starting your career. You should not be modest. You should be very frank and courageous and just be there. Yeah.
So you can ask for donations, but also more on the online content. How do you ask for interaction? How can you sort of activate them? We will talk a little bit later maybe on how to get the conversion going from online activity to buying tickets, which is sort of the online, the offline. I'm keeping mixing them up, so we need to find new words for them. To get people to buy concert tickets. But that's something we'll talk about later maybe a little bit. But the first thing is, so how do you get people to interact with you online? Can you ask them to? Sometimes you have these YouTube videos that say, click the button here, or the thumbs up and stuff. Does that work? What kind of strategies can you share?
Yeah, I think it works. Yeah, because people need to be reminded that that's a possibility on a YouTube video, especially since a YouTube video is actually pretty long. But what we do is we have this button at the end of the video with a subscribe thing, and then you just see it in your screen. So that's what we do. But making content and well, my colleagues always ask me, Iris, can we go viral? And then I'm like, no, you can't like order a viral. So if I knew the secret to getting the most likes, I don't know. But what I do know is that you can try different things and then look at what you did and see what the stats say. how many likes did you get, what people did you reach, what people do you want to reach, and just reflect on that. I think that's the most important thing.
Is that also something I can do, just because I think the Concertgebouw is a pretty big organization with a lot of resources, and the Netherlands Bach Society also has a lot of people working there, marketing managers, social media managers. How can I do this when it's just me, and I also need to rehearse and also need to create content? How do I do all this?
It's a full-time job. For me, it's a full-time job to fill all these social media channels. So I can imagine that it's really difficult to pay a lot of attention on it. But I think when you keep it close to yourself, it doesn't have to take much time. I mean, for my personal Instagram page, when I went here this afternoon, I did a little Instagram story on the train, like, oh, I'm going back to Amsterdam since weeks, and now I did a little photo. I'm here. That took me like 2 minutes, and now all my followers know that I'm here. So even the small things help.
And do you see a big difference in the way artists approach this?
I guess they're all different people, so they're all different approaches. I think, I don't know if you know Ray Chen. He has this Instagram page that he also watches people playing, and then he reviews it or something. But he already has his big audience, so people are interested in how he reacts on their videos, so that's entertaining. But when you're a starting musician, I would start with sharing music videos of yourself, and maybe how you rehearse and the things you're preparing, and sharing that kind of stuff, I think.
I also think that you should try, if you post a video, maybe just to have a little question, so that you get communication with your audience. This is B, this is A, what do you like? Yes, so you have to generate communication. And you asked if we post a video on the All of Bach platform, for example, on YouTube we get lots of reactions. Also, people like it very much, so they write down, thank you, it's beautiful, it's fantastic. And then another one writes, okay, if you like it, consider a donation. So they really, they call for donations for us, to each other. So there's a sort of community starting now to give donations to us. So it really works. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, and even like yesterday, I was working at home and I made myself a homemade lunch, and I have like a few hundred followers on Instagram, my own personal Instagram. And I made a photo of it, and I did a little poll, like, do you like working at home, yes or no? Yeah. And do you like making your own lunch? And people really responded to that. They're just people, they're really nice people, and I know them, but that's a start. It's my own personal Instagram. I had a little like connection moment there.
Yeah. And I also think that you shouldn't think that it's not interesting. The most uninteresting things are interesting if they come from a musician. So even if you like X or not or something. So
yeah, and some, as you know, it's a fine balance. I guess I saw Ray Chan perform for a horse once on his Instagram.
That's a surprising element.
That's a surprise element, and animals work well also. Yeah. But it's you were talking about branding, that it's something like it's more like choosing the angle on the story. So with the Netherlands Bach Society, you were talking about adding drama. That's angling the story also. Could you tell a little bit?
Well, I think that there are good things to a crisis and bad things. The crisis was bad, of course, because, well, I don't have to explain. But we thought it also makes the case for musicians, and that is something that was already in the news for months. I mean, that they need better payment and things like that. And the crisis made clear that they don't get paid at all if they don't play, which is terrible. So that was the angle we used. Okay, there's no Matthew Passion, there's no work, and for many people it's 25% of their annual income to work in a St. Matthew tour. So that's dramatic, I think. And it helped, because the case for support was really made. And I told you a few hours ago that today I received an email. Somebody important for the Bach Society died. She gives money to us, especially for the musicians, because she was really touched by the case for support for the musicians. So the moment was perfect.
Yeah, so that's angling the story to. Because there's a lot of different stories you could tell, but you need to figure out what was the right story at the right time.
Yeah.
That's also the thing I noticed when you were talking about this, was about the timing.
Yeah.
How can you do something when there's not a crisis? How do you get this Fingerspitzengefühl for timing?
Oh, well, what I do, I can tell you a little bit about that. I follow a hotel, and on Instagram, and they're like my big inspiration for my Concertgebouw Instagram. And it's a hotel, so it has nothing to do with. And I always see what they do, and they do what all the influencers do, and then there are a lot of people on Instagram doing a lot of things that are not especially music, and it's really interesting that you see actually trends going on, and then you can hop on this trend and translate it to music. So one thing people always do is like make photos of their like, I don't know, a nice interior photo of their hotel, and then they're like, oh, the kind of stairs you don't mind climbing. That's the caption. Well, I can translate that to the stairs of the Concertgebouw easily. So you can just like try to find inspiration or trends or other things that different kind of brands do, and just translate it to your specific product.
Brand. Yeah. I think we have a question from somebody online. So I'll walk over to you and I'll hold the microphone.
There's a question from Daphne. Are there any other ways to promote your social content other than placing it on your own channels?
There are actually a few. The first thing you can do is do a collaboration with other people who have more followers than you or other followers than you. As an example, the video of Karsu is actually a really good example. She has her own followers, and we did actually a collaboration with her, and then we also reached her followers. So that was an interesting move from us, so we can reach more people. So that's what you can do when you're on your own, having your own channel. And what you can also do is promote your content, paid. You can promote it on Facebook. There's this button, promote this post. And with just a few euros, you can make sure that more people see it. You can make like a lookalike audience. So people who already liked your photo, you can make an audience that looks like these people. So you can expand your reach, something like that. I think that's the two most important things.
A question earlier by Claudio also. Claudio asked, how can I make my message go a long way? For example, being reshared. So how important is it to get reshared?
Yeah, that's really important. That's actually this algorithm circle ball that I did. Like when it invites people to react on it or comment on it, the chance that more people will see it is also bigger. Because when you share my post will be shown to your friends as well. So that's also really important.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be original, because then people would like to share it, of course. And I also think that you have to make your point, especially when you're not very famous, at the beginning of your video, not after 30 seconds or something. Something needs to happen in the first 10 seconds, I think, because otherwise people are gone already. So make your point as soon as you can.
Yeah, okay. So are there any questions from here? We have some questions online. I have a question here.
Do you use a strategy by posting weekly, daily?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the question is if you use a strategy in posting periodically, like every day or every week, every month, mornings, evenings?
Yeah, we do actually. You can see in your statistics when people are online the most, your followers. And in our particular case, it's mostly at the end of the day. So after 5, and sometimes, or really early, when they wake up, they go on their phone. So really early or really late, or during lunch. And in the weekends, people are not that active, our followers.
And you need to be really strict, so not an hour later, but really on the dot.
No, well, we always, sometimes I really plan these posts. I don't do that I'm not online all day. I post it on like 5:52. Not at 5 o'clock, because then it's like too Obvious, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we try to be online every day one post. But there are also I know that newspapers post more things every day, so
Yeah, of course.
I don't think it really matters. Sometimes when you haven't posted it for two weeks and you post something, then some of your followers will get a notification like, she posted something again. So you could use that as a strategy as well.
So it's not really a bad thing to go on a holiday for a week or so.
No, of course
Well,
not. No.
Not too long. I think when we built our YouTube channel for All of Bach, we started in 2018 with 4,000 subscribers, and now we are at 150,000 subscribers. And we really found advice in somebody who knows about building channels. And he said twice a week is fine with your kind of content. So we post on Tuesday and Thursday. People know that there is something new every Tuesday and Thursday. And of course, in special times, it's more. I don't know about times actually, because it's worldwide. People are watching from US to Japan to whatever, so I don't know what the times are.
Yeah, actually that's true. What we did with the empty Concertgebouw Sessions, these online concerts we did, we always posted them on Wednesday at 12:30 because it was at the same time as the lunch concerts.
Yeah,
used
people
to
like
be.
that, I think.
Huh?
A set time. I think that
Yes.
people like that.
Yeah. For a live stream they do, because then they know that they need to tune in. But what actually was funny is that we needed an angle. So there's this angle again, and we thought it would be a good angle to recreate the lunch concerts. That would be a good story. But it's actually a terrible time to go online at 12:30. People are just working or doing other things. They're not watching a concert. So this summer we're gonna stream a lot of concerts, and then we decided to do it on Friday at 8, because then people, or at 9, I'm sorry. So people will be online more.
So and I know that these lunchtime concerts, they are for free. And
These were online, huh?
yeah, so this is online concerts. So let's talk a little bit about the value of art. So is there a danger when you start live streaming? So like this live stream is people are here, they paid an entrance fee. People online, they can still donate. There's a little donation button on our website. But it's voluntary, so you don't have to. So how does that work in these times of Corona crisis? I see a lot of online visibility because it's the only way to be visible, but it's for free. So what does this do to the value, the perceived value of art?
For us, it was really difficult because it is our strategy to make All of Bach for free. It's been free ever since 2014, so it's now 2020. So if we now ask you to pay for it, it's really strange. 6 years
All
for
of Bach
free.
is your library of
Yeah.
the Bach.
Yeah, hundreds of videos. So we decided not to ask for money. There's not a paywall or something. It's voluntary, but we get a lot of donations, more than we did. So this is a very good time for giving and paying for music. It is not for free, of course.
Yeah.
So
But do you stream concerts?
no,
also? No,
we
you
don't. No.
That's actually a really good question that we've been thinking about a lot as well, because if all the concert halls decide to stream for free, then we are killing our own
Yeah,
industry.
we shouldn't.
Yeah, so
No.
that's actually a big question we're asking ourselves at the Concertgebouw as well. But we're still in a really developing phase, thinking about maybe offering paid live streams and also doing a concert. So for a few, actually the same as here, that there are a few people and then we can stream it. But it's people are not used to pay for a video online.
And
Everything
there's
is
millions of videos for free.
Exactly.
So why would you pay?
It's a free economy online. It's much more so people expect to be free. I think this is something that the newspapers and the written media has already gone through this crisis of
I'm
But,
actually
but,
curious.
but you were talking about the value of music, and I think that's something that I wanted to make clear in what I said, that people really care for music, especially now. So sometimes we get now donations sky high. I mean, last week I woke up and I checked the bank and somebody gave us 4,500 euros. One gift in the morning, somebody from Germany. I don't know, music is important. Yes, it is. So this happens sometimes.
It does, yeah.
It does.
But I'm curious, would you pay for an online concert?
How much would you pay? What is a normal price for an online concert according to you?
Yeah, that's
So
actually
we're hearing 12.50 for an online concert. Somebody wants more? 12.50. Who goes for 20
eenmaal, andermaal.
euros? 10 to 15 euros. It depends on the length. Yes.
It's funny because we had this concert for 30 people, as I told you. We asked 20 euros, which is
So
nothing but
that was for the live audience to be there.
yes. And it was only 40 minutes. It was not very long. And everybody said, it's too cheap. It's too cheap. You should have asked more.
So what's going to happen is that offline is going to be more expensive than online, and it's going
Offline is extremely exclusive.
get more and more expensive. Yeah.
But there are actually like a lot of tools that you can use that are free if you want to do it yourself. You have like Vimeo, and you can use Vimeo to create a paid live stream. It's built in, so it's easy to use, and it's like 70 euros a month. So if you want to, as a musician, want to do your own online concerts, you can use a platform like that. It's really easy.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about this, because it's easy to generate content, I guess, when you're a Royal Concertgebouw or when you're the Netherlands Bach Society, who is just, I think, 30 years younger than the Concertgebouw, which is 130 years by now. So these are ancient institutions that have been going for a very long time. What if you've been going for a couple of months and you just did your exam and you got a straight A, 10 from your final exam at the conservatory, and you want to set up shop? How do you create content? You already said you can just start with your telephone, but the thing is that most musicians are being trained to go the extra mile, you know, to make it really, really perfect. How does this work when you record your concert with a telephone or something?
Well, even at the Concertgebouw, we are not that professional. I mean,
That's good to hear.
yeah, that's good to know. When I started with the Concertgebouw Sessions, like I said, the first video I filmed with my own camera, and I'm not a film person. So yeah, first there wasn't even that much budget for video because it was actually pretty new and we didn't know what it would bring us. So this was something that had to grow. So even I did it with my own camera, and a lot of videos of interviews I did with musicians, I did with my own camera. So I don't always have a big crew. That's good to know, I think.
Mm-hmm.
People think that we have a big crew always, but it's not true.
Yeah, and I can imagine, you know, still you need to play flawlessly on this 3 minutes. If you have 3 minutes, it needs to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. There's a big difference between content we make for years to stay on the internet, or the snack that you were talking about. So if you start, I think you have to do both. You have to make easy small things just to get attention, but you also have to make a good video of yourself and invest in yourself, good film quality, good audio. If you really want to be under the attention of programmers, I mean, you were a programmer, you know that you really want to have a good image of somebody, but good sound, good video. You really want to know what you will get in your hall when you see it. So that takes a little bit money.
Yeah, but did you, when you booked an artist, did you really went to that video online and watched it so closely that you were like, oh, that little note was not good? How did you
didn't
do that?
No, never really. I'm sorry. If you make videos longer than 2 minutes, I'm out.
How did you use videos to book people?
The thing is, when I was working at the Royal Concertgebouw booking artists to perform there, you know, it's a very difficult job to keep track of everything that's going on. So you need a confirmation. So somebody tells you, oh, this is a nice artist, look him up. So I was looking for confirmation. So I guess, you know, most professional musicians, they are of a certain level. They play really well. So I don't need a video to prove that they are really good musicians. What I need from a video is how much audience they reach, you know, so how many likes are there. But also, as you say, like how diverse is it? Is somebody, you know, are they comfortable of showing themselves, you know? If they're really uptight and every note needs to be perfect and they don't show anything because it's never right enough, that will not work on a stage as well, because on the stage it needs to flow. So it's more of these kind of things, and about charisma, if somebody knows how to communicate through the camera. So I'm
It's actually funny that you're saying that, because when we were filming the Concertgebouw Sessions, there are more of 60 of them. Most of the musicians, some of them, would like to have like 20 takes. And we always go for the second one. It's true. Because then you're fresh and then you're like energetic. It's just true.
Yeah, and
it's about the energy.
And if something goes wrong, I mean, stuff goes wrong.
Then something goes wrong.
And the funny thing is, I don't know anything about classical music that much. I have my background is journalism and media studies. So when I'm at the set and we're filming a sessions, I always feel that that there's a vibe or something, and then we know it's a good take, and we always discuss it with the musicians. But mostly the takes that we use are the takes with a good vibe and not with every exact note. Like the 20th take that was perfectly, but you were a robot,
It's same with us. We make a live recording and then we have 40 minutes for preparation after the concert, immediately after the concert. And of course all musicians, and we say, no, sorry, it's live. So we repair the most horrible things, and that's it. Because live music is so much better than edited music. That's a philosophy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's about the energy. I do agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a big difference between recording a CD and recording content. Yeah.
I can tell you that we make those videos, and the basis is a live concert. But if we ask the musicians, can we bring it to something like Spotify? They hate it. They don't want it, because without the video, they don't want it, because it's not perfect. And they want to make sure that people know it was live. So musicians are very keen on it. But I think that the listeners just like the energy. And then, okay, you make a wrong note. Who cares? It's not so important. But the CD is about perfection.
There's also not much of context in a CD, of course. In a video, you see what the context is, and much more so. So, so it's almost the end of this discussion. I think we have lots of other subjects to cover, but one of them is conversion, because I'm an old timer. So when I started, social media and online visibility was something to. It was as a marketing tool to sell tickets. Is that still the same? Is conversion your ultimate goal? That people converse from looking at a video and then decide to buy a ticket?
Well, yeah, it kind of is, because otherwise they wouldn't want me to. They wouldn't want me to spend so much time on social media if it wouldn't lead to conversion. So yes, it is the final goal, but I don't think that you will reach that goal by focusing on that too much. I think you will reach that goal by just making sure that people really want to go to a concert, and that you give them the tools to find out what concerts are there. So you can make a Facebook event, or in the Instagram stories, you can do like a really quick, like buy your tickets and then a swipe up, or link in bio or whatever. But don't focus on that on your main channel, because that's not why people follow you. They will follow you because they think you're interesting, and they won't follow you because you want them to buy tickets all the time. I mean, when you see a Facebook page or YouTube channel or an Instagram page, why would you follow it? Not because they have an agenda that you can also see on the website, right? It's because you want to be inspired or whatever. So I think we don't focus on it too much, but it's of course it's a goal, but it's underneath it. But that's the Fingerspitzengefühl. I really can't. Yeah, hard to explain.
I think you're as good as your last concert. So you market yourself by your concerts, because we want people to come back to our concerts. So every concert should be something very special and a moment of inspiration. And of course, this is an ensemble. You have to sell many different types of concerts, but we are just one club doing different things. But I think online is not as important as you think for selling tickets for us, people want to come back to be live with you, and that's the most important thing.
It's good that you say that, because we also have like a newsletter, and that's actually for us more important, because you subscribe to a newsletter because you want to get the news and you want to know what concerts there are. So that's why you subscribe to that, and you subscribe to social media for something else.
So concerts are luckily still the best thing that we focus on, and social media is live concerts, and social media is more to fill in the blanks, to color in the
Exactly.
blanks.
For us, it's really enlarging our audience, because we have a worldwide audience, of course, by posting those videos twice a week, and it's long content. It's pieces of 1 minute to 3 hours. But it's just to enlarge our audience. It doesn't really enhance ticket sales, I think.
Yeah, and what you also can do is like advertising. Do you guys do that? Advertising on social media?
Not a lot.
Yeah, we do that. We do that as well. But that's actually, I see that as two different things. I see like building a social media channel and advertising. But advertising is really specific to specific target groups that are interested in a specific kind of concert, because we have so many kinds of concerts. So we do retargeting, for instance. When you went to our website and you watched one concert and you didn't buy a ticket, we will follow you until forever.
But that's a whole new subject. Maybe next time we will talk a lot about
Exactly.
but
we do that,
advertising
but
and
that's
online.
a different story. Yeah.
So I think we've come to the end of this talk. It was really inspiring. I've heard a lot of new and inspiring things. Thank you so much, Iris van der Valk and Willemijn Mooi. Give them a warm applause. Thank you. So this is actually the second of a series of webinars and masterclasses that the Netherlands Violin Competition organizes. We are looking forward to Shunsuke Sato, who is going to give a masterclass here for 3 of our laureates. That's on the 7th of July in the evening, and it will also be in our newsletter, on our social media, and on our website. And then, especially for violin teachers, we have a webinar by Ilona Sidjan Ho, who is a teacher at the Royal Conservatory in The Hague. And she will talk about how to prepare your young violinists, your pupils, to participate in the Netherlands Violin Competition. You know, we had Coraline Groen perform here tonight. She was the winner of the Oskar Back Prize, which is of course the professionals. But we have people coming to the competition from 6 years old, performing and playing together. So Ilona Sidjan-Ho will talk about that. That's on the 14th of July. So maybe still, if you need to ask, so people, there is a donation button. So if you're watching this online, donate. So makes it possible for us to organize these events. Thank you so much, also people here, and see you next time. Thank you.